This is the Washington Times front page for Wednesday, July 5th, 2023. Thanks for joining us. I'm George Gerbo. The food stamp program was slammed with fraud during the pandemic, leading to the highest rate of improper payments on record last year. Stephen Dinan reports the Department of Agriculture says nearly 10% of SNAP payments in 2022 were overpayments to recipients, and nearly 2% more were underpayments. The data also shows a deterioration from before the pandemic, when the government recorded a total improper payment rate of 7.4% in 2019 and 6.8% in 2018. Officials said they're taking steps, including improving communication with states and threatening penalties for those that don't lower their bad payment rates. Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson's first term on the Supreme Court has left court watchers wondering whether she's its most liberal jurist or whether that title belongs to Justice Sonia Sotomayor. Alex Sawyer reports Jackson had experience as a judge at the U.S. District Court for the District of Columbia and spent a few months on the U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals for D.C. She's the first member of the court to have been a federal public defender. Sotomayor, the first Hispanic justice on the Supreme Court, had experience as a federal judge in the Southern District of New York and on the Second U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals. Critics say special counsel Jack Smith, who's brought federal charges against former President Trump, is overzealous in his prosecutions. Jeff Murdoch reports Smith and other prosecutors from the Department of Justice's Public Integrity Section have followed a familiar playbook. The script earned Smith a reputation as a hard-driving, intense prosecutor, but a string of mistrials and overturned convictions led to sharp rebukes from federal judges. Smith headed the DOJ's Public Integrity Section from 2010 to 2015. He led a team of 30 prosecutors pursuing public corruption cases against major political figures. South Korea boasts thousands of years of history, but save for a few signature sites, tourists have to dig deep to discover its architectural heritage. Andrew Salmon reports some districts in the capital of Seoul were smashed in street fighting during the Korean War in 1950, but many were untouched. The real architectural game changer was post-war development. Seoul has preserved and updated monumental architecture, such as palaces and temples, but has virtually obliterated the heritage of ordinary citizens. Today, the city's historic homes teeter on the brink of extinction. And finally, Kerry Pickett talks with far-right militia leader and convicted seditionist Stewart Rhodes. Rhodes, the leader of the Oath Keepers, claimed from a D.C. detention facility that prosecutors used his words, not his actions, to convict him of seditious conspiracy. A jury convicted Rhodes in November of the sedition charge and multiple other felonies surrounding the January 6, 2021 riot at the U.S. Capitol. He's been sentenced to 18 years in prison. Find all today's front page stories at WashingtonTimes.com/frontpage or the Washington Times app, and find us wherever you get your podcasts. Just search Washington Times in any major podcast app. You can also find us on Twitter and Instagram at Wash Times for breaking news, sports, commentary, and more. For the Washington Times, I'm George Gerbo.